Let's move on to main topic number 4. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Martin Haus. And Martin Haus writes, "Greetings from Spain." Well, greetings, Martin. "I know Tenet hasn't moved their release date yet, but I had assumed that at some point they will. But I just saw that Christopher Nolan and Warner Brothers are holding firm on the date and fully intend to release the movie on July 17th as planned, as long as the theaters are actually open. What do you think of this move, and will it hurt their potential box office since social distancing will probably still be in play even if the theaters are open? Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, Martin. And yes, one of the films we've been talking a lot about, as all these other films, practically all the other films, have moved their release dates and stuff like that, has been the curious case of Benjamin Button, known as Tenet, that has held on to its July 17th release date, despite the fact that everybody else has been moving. Now, I admit, I'm one of those people who's just been assuming, look, at some point we'll hear about them moving the date. At some point we'll hear about them moving the date, but they never have. And apparently now, according to some sources, Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan are actually quite committed to staying on that date. All right, this comes to us from IndieWIRE. "Unlike the other would-be summer 2020 titles, In the Heights and Jungle Cruise, Christopher Nolan is holding tight to his July 17th date until and unless circumstances force it from his grasp. Nolan is renowned for his passionate support of the theatrical experience and the symbolism of being the last blockbuster standing, if not the only new film in theaters. If and when theaters reopen this summer is symbolically powerful." That comes to us from IndieWIRE. Now, I gotta tell you, at first, my thought also was, well, wait a minute. I mean, take even all the other circumstances and all the other potential problems out of play here. If you do release in July, even if the theaters are open, which there is a decent chance the theaters will be open, but they're probably still going to be exercising social distancing. They're probably going to be only selling a limited number of tickets. They're probably going to be making sure there's spaces between their customer seats and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? IndieWIRE raised up a really interesting point in their article. And they wrote this, as I'm going to scroll down here to this one point that they made, which I thought was great. First mover's advantage. They write this. It says, even if theaters opening in June, Georgia's aggressively early plan could permit early openings in May, but NATO has stated it prefers nationwide rollout, few will attend without new films. Going before other big films would allow Tenet to play virtually on every single screen. Think about that. Yes, there's going to be social distancing, for sure, which will limit the amount of seats that can be sold in a theater. But at the same time, they're going to be the only game in town. And I hadn't thought about that till I read that really well-made point in IndieWIRE. I hadn't thought about this. Oh, yeah, you can only put in so many people in theaters, but guess what? What else are theaters going to show? Tenet is going to be the only major tentpole wide-release film in the world. And even if you only have 25% capacity, you're going to own all 25%. You're going to own it all. Now, it still brings up the question and the problem of, what do you do about getting enough of a ramp-up time for marketing? When will you know for sure if theaters will be open? Is it even going to be wise for people to go back to the theater? I mean, it's so hard to say from where we're sitting right now when July 17th is still practically 3 months away. It is still very difficult for us to kind of look into a crystal ball and make a wild guess. But the more I think about it and the more I read these articles, at first when I was like, no, they can't keep that release date, I'm starting to think, you know what? Maybe they can. And of course, a lot of that will all depend on what state is the world in 60 days from now. Are the theaters actually going to be open? There's a lot of stuff there, but I'm starting to believe that maybe they really will. That Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan here, Aaron, are maybe going to keep this date. But Aaron, you see this whole thing. You've seen the articles. It's hard to look into the crystal ball. It is still 3 months away, but what do you think about this? Can Christopher Nolan, Warner Brothers hold on to this release date? What do you think?
They're clearly taking a big gamble, but as we've seen sometimes, big risk, big payoff. I mean, if they are the only game in town, if they are the only big tentpole movie that's taking up the majority of theaters, and if people are feeling comfortable going back to the movie theaters, then yeah, they're going to have a lot of success on this. I would bet my left pinky finger that they have a date sort of softly in place for the following summer. Just in case, because they, as they said, they may still have to move. If this is still going on and movie theaters are not open at that point nationwide, then yeah, they're just not gonna be able to physically open at all. However, as we've already talked about, we have Georgia that's planning on opening movie theaters in 2 weeks. If that turns into be a success, a lot of other states might follow suit. So this could be very successful for them. Obviously, it could be a big failure as well. But this will be an interesting time to find out how comfortable people are. It was actually, I was thinking about this. I wanted to ask you this: what will it take for you to feel comfortable going back to the movies? I mean, I know that we've talked about when we'll go back. Like, are you going to say, hey, as long as there's social distancing, as long as blah, blah, blah. Like, what's it going to take for you to go back to the theater?
Not too awful much. Look, I start and end my show almost every day with, guys, we got to do the 4 things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you. The fact of the matter is, right now, all of us, to one degree or another, I go to the grocery store because I need to go to the store and get food that I might eat and keep my incredible physique. So that's part. And I don't see a whole. Now, I'm not comfortable going to the grocery store right now, but it's what I need to do, and so I go. I think I need to see a couple things, and now I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not saying how other people should feel. I'm just speaking for myself. I think I need to see, doctors and scientists, not politicians. I need to see doctors and scientists telling me that the situation has improved, saying that we still need to be careful, but we believe that the curve is at a point right now that we can feel comfortable to start coming back outside again. We feel comfortable that it's okay to open restaurants. Because, by the way, I'm going to be more nervous in a restaurant than I will be in a movie theater. I'll be more nervous going into a restaurant with low ceilings, just as much tight space, sitting in a chair, eating off of a fork where, did they wash this fork properly? Like all that. And I'm not disparaging the restaurant industry. I love all of you restaurants. But I'm going to be more concerned going into a restaurant than I am going to be into a movie theater. So if the scientists and doctors tell us, say come early June, mid-June, that, hey, we're almost at the point where we can start easing up our restrictions, we can start venturing out again, we should still be careful, all that kind of stuff, I'll feel comfortable with it. I'll probably go with a mask on my face still. Hell, I may even go wearing the rubber gloves. I mean, I don't know. But I think I just need to hear the medical community tell me that, hey, we're not out of the woods completely, but we're at a point that it's okay to start getting back to normal life a little bit. If I hear that, I'll feel good. What about you? What's it going to take for you to feel that? Because I know you're very, very cautious in the lockdown, as you should be. And Anne loves the mask you made her, by the way. But, I mean, what's it going to take for you to feel good? Like, yeah, I'm not 100% confident, but I feel like I can venture out to a movie theater again. What's it going to take for you?
Well, okay, so just with the grocery store and the movie theater difference, like for me, and when I go to the grocery store, it's like I'm playing Frogger. I mean, I'm constantly like, you get away from me. They now have the one way on the aisles, and I am totally that asshole that points out to people, there's an arrow, you're going the wrong way. I'm like, you can't see my face. You don't know what I look like. But I'm like, this is a one-way road. I am that annoying person in the grocery store. I will 100% make sure that you are socially distant from me. You go to a movie theater and you choose your perfect seat, but then, and nobody sits on either side. What if somebody sits right behind you? What if somebody sits, 2 things behind you and then they're coughing and you're stuck there for 2 hours? For me, I don't know what it's going to take. I think I really think it's going to take more testing. Like, I'm going to need to know that I can get a hold of a test, or like the antibody test, if we can get some positive, some antibody tests that actually work 100% of the time. I don't know. It's such foreign territory that I kind of think it's just going to be a slow crawl out the door again. I mean, I'm really, for me, I'm seeing firsthand my friend Nick Cordero, today is day 23 in his coma. And because of COVID and, Tom and I have been immunocompromised and we've had a lot of health problems. I don't want to go back to that. So for me, And I'm not saying anybody else should do what we're doing, but for me, I'm really cautious about it.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot, I think.
It's very difficult. And again, I got to reemphasize the fact that we are living. Okay, so we've been in this. Oh, my dogs are at the door. So we are living in a situation right now where we've been under this for a little bit over a month. We've been in this lockdown for a little bit over a month, right? Mm-hmm. And it's been interesting to see how much things have evolved and changed just in this 1 month. And we're talking about right now mid to late July, which is still almost 3 months away.
Yeah.
And it's just so difficult. Again, I've said it several times, but I think it's so important to understand that right now, it's really difficult for us to say where we're going to be. Because listen,
Totally.
if we come to mid-June, I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I think I can be coaxed back into the movie theater if the situation's right. But if we get into mid-June and things are spiking again and everything looks just as dire, well, then of course not. I'm not going to, in 1 month back in the theaters, no way. But if we get to mid-June and our doctors are telling us, you know what, we're getting there, it's improving, and they've opened up, some states have opened up hair salons and restaurants again, and we're seeing that because we did the right things the past 6 weeks, that we're not seeing new spikes and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I feel better, but I'm going to need to get to mid-June to really develop my thoughts on this.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go on, please.
The Will Smith movie that I was supposed to do.
Yes.
I saw that was supposed to open November 25th of this year. It's now been pushed to November 21st of 2021. It's being pushed an entire year. And a lot of these movies are being pushed that far out. So I would not be surprised, like I said, if they do have that date. But one thing about restaurants, and this is just a given, I learned this when I was going through chemo, the menu. Always, because the menus never, the silverware, it at least gets run through the dishwasher. The menus never get cleaned. They're so gross.
That's why I love restaurants like Islands, where the menus are paper and they throw them out as soon as you leave, and then they bring a new menu to the table every time. Love it. Thank you, Islands. All right. So this is an interesting question. So we got Christopher Nolan, the big champion of the movie theater experience, and Warner Brothers kind of sticking with him, saying, we're sticking with it July 17th. Christopher Nolan says the movie's going to be done and ready to play in theaters on July 17th. But will it happen? I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. And I put it to you guys. And the question of the day is that simple. Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan are committed to keeping their July 17th date for Tenet as long as the theaters are open. Considering that's almost 3 months away, is that reasonable or questionable? And right now, I put this up just before the show started. 1,355 of you guys have responded to it. Right now, only 36.4% of you are saying it's reasonable. Yeah, July, they could be able to do that. 63.6% of you are saying, no, that's questionable to say that. We don't think it's going to happen. So that's where we set it right now. I think, again, it's going to be interesting to take the same poll in June and see where we're all at come June, because that's going to be the big thing. But that's what you guys are saying right now. And of course, guys, we want to know what you guys think. Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.